The movie starts with Sam, a girl who, after a painful breakup, decides to start a new life in Amsterdam. In this new city, she meets new friends and starts a new job, and gradually crosses paths with Vender, a mysterious, charming, and wealthy guy. Their encounter sets her on a journey of discovering new feelings and learning to trust people again. The movie opens with Sam, a young woman who, after a painful breakup, moves from the small town of Krommenie to Amsterdam at the insistence of her best friend, Miel. Miel tells her that healing a broken heart is easier in Amsterdam and asks her to trust them, but Sam says she doesn't trust anyone anymore. Miel encourages her to let go of the sadness and celebrate her freedom. That night, the two head out with friends to have some fun. While waiting in line to get into a bar, Sam gets annoyed when a group of VIPs skip the line. One of them, a guy named Vender, overhears her and tries to help them get in faster, but Sam turns down his offer. Once inside, Miel orders 3 shots and they start dancing and having fun, while Vender keeps his eyes on Sam from across the room. The next morning, Miel wakes Sam up for her first day of work at a hotel. Sam reluctantly gets ready, joking that working with her best friend might actually be the only good part of the job. Miel gives her a quick tour and introduces her to Melvin, the friendly hotel manager, and Brittany, a chatty coworker. Miel warns her that they have to be flawless if they want to move up. Later, bored with her routine, Sam wanders into the closed-off wellness area of the hotel and unexpectedly runs into Vender again. She doesn't recognize him at first, but after he reminds her of that night at the bar, he invites her to go out clubbing with him. Sam turns him down again. Later, she and Miel find out that Vender is actually the son of a famous millionaire and a 23-year-old influencer. The next day, Vender accidentally steps into the staff elevator, where guests aren't allowed. He's looking for breakfast, and Sam tries to help, but the elevator breaks down and he gets stuck. This story spreads around the hotel, and Miel tells Sam she should apologize to him. Sam does, and Vender accepts it with a smile. Later, Sam gets a text from her ex-boyfriend saying he's back in the Netherlands. That same night, a loud party in Vender's suite leads to guest complaints, and Melvin sends Sam and Miel to deal with it. After shutting the party down, the two start cleaning up. In the cleaning closet, Sam and Vender bump into each other again and start talking. He opens up about his life, how being an influencer makes everyone judge him from the outside, but inside he feels empty and lonely. Sam shares how she stopped trusting people. A quiet connection forms between them, and just as they're about to kiss, Miel suddenly walks in and breaks the moment. After work, Bas, Sam's ex-boyfriend, shows up at her place begging for another chance. He blames his cheating on a weak moment and says he wants to make things right, but Sam firmly rejects him, showing she's not the same girl anymore. Miel praises her for being so strong. The next day, Bas shows up at the hotel, drunk, pleading again, then threatening her. Just then, Vender steps in and punches him to the ground. Angry that Bas even touched her, Vender blurts out his feelings for Sam. She smiles and asks, "Was that brave or just stupid?" Vender laughs, probably both. Sam blushes, kisses him, and later tells Miel she kind of wanted to punch Bas too. Vender takes Sam to a fancy restaurant on the boat, but she doesn't enjoy the pretentious food and admits she'd rather have a sandwich or fries. During dinner, Vender talks about his lonely childhood, a busy mother who was never really there, while Sam points out how his glamorous life hides how lonely he really is. Later, the two drive to Krommenie, Sam's hometown. She shows him her old playground, a place full of childhood memories that Vender finds both strange and sweet. When his shoes get muddy, she helps him clean them, which turns into a playful water fight that ends with a soft kiss. At that moment, Sam's mom wakes up and catches them. Vender quickly pretends he's just Sam's coworker. She invites him in, but he gets a sudden work call and has to leave. After he's gone, Sam smiles bittersweetly and says to her mom, "I guess I couldn't even introduce Vender to you on our first date." The next morning, Sam overhears Brittany gossiping that she spent the night with Vender since the bed in room 407 was never used. Mills scolds Sam, warning her that if their boss Melvin finds out, Sam will be blamed. But Sam insists she was at her mom's house that night and explains that Vender just dropped her off by taxi and then disappeared. When Vender ignores her messages and starts appearing online with models, Miel warns her that this thing with him could ruin everything. A few days later, Sam runs into Vender at the hotel and confronts him for ghosting her. Vender says he didn't have her number and asks for it now, but Sam snaps that she doesn't want to know him anymore. That night, Vender calls and admits Sam was right. She really doesn't know who he is. He asks her to come out so he can show her the truth. Sam agrees and follows him to his hidden studio where she's amazed by his artwork. Vender finally confesses that he is Red Flags, the anonymous artist whose identity has been a mystery. He says he hid the truth because people never took his art seriously once they knew he was rich and came from a famous family. He plays the spoiled influencer role just to fund his art. Vender explains that when he went missing, he was actually working in his studio. Sam admits that because of her past, trusting people doesn't come easily. Afterwards, Vender takes her to eat kabilling, a local fried fish snack, and Sam tells him about the trip she never took. A year-long journey across Europe she canceled after her mom was diagnosed with MS. She says her mom is still independent, but it won't last forever. She'll probably need a cane soon. Vender uses his connections to arrange a private gallery visit so he can show her more of his work. She encourages him to sell his art and quit his meaningless online job. Meanwhile, Miel worries that Sam is falling too hard again. When a woman named Louise checks in to room 407, Vender's usual suite, Miel assumes she's his lover. Sam accuses Miel of overreacting and stirring things up. But to be sure, she sneaks into the room and finds Louise in Vender's bathroom. The fight between Sam and Miel escalates, and Miel ends up firing her. Then, Sam goes to Vender's studio, where she finds Louise again. Vender explains Louise is just his model, and it's revealed that his famous Red trilogy is actually inspired by Sam, just the hotel girl. But then Sam realizes that Vender also used her mom's MS as artistic inspiration. Furious, she yells, "You gave my mom a cane," and tears his paintings apart. Later, Vender texts her to apologize, but gets into a car accident right after. Miel breaks the news to Sam, and after some hesitation, she goes to the hospital. Vender tells her he never meant to exploit her. The only thing he could create anymore was her. He admits his mistake and says he's giving up the Red persona to apply to art school instead. Sam confesses she's finally ready to take the trip she postponed to find herself. When Vender asks, "If I asked you to stay, would you?" she smiles and says, "I'd stay right away, but I don't want it to be like that." She wants her choices to come from her, not anyone else. They part ways with warmth and respect. Vender tells her, "I'm proud of you." In the end, Sam reconciles with Miel, says goodbye to her friends, and sets off alone, a journey toward independence and self-discovery.